Okay, this is the plan. This is video number 1 of 5 upcoming ones about the new Sennheiser HD500 series. Thanks to Cyberport, I was actually able to review all 4 of them side by side, which was particularly helpful for my comparison at the end of this coverage. Since this is video number 1, I want to start off from the bottom today with the Sennheiser HD559 and later on move along forward to the 599. So let's just do that and quickly take a look at all 4 of them. This is the 559, 569, 579 and 599. There is no 589 as far as I know. Let's get the rest out of the way since it's all about the 559 today. What's in the box? Of course the headphones, and we get a 3-meter long cable. As you can see, quality is quite good with a 1/4 inch jack at one end and this one at the other end, which is for the replaceable cable, because as you can see here, you can just put that in, twist it and lock it, and then it's attached. But as you can also already see, it has this big jack at one end, and if you want to maybe use it with 3.5 millimeters, you would need this adapter, which is actually not even included as far as I know on the lowest end edition, the other head end, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I've maybe mixed up the content of all of those. But as you can already see, this is very thick. What is very nice though and available on the higher end models is this cable here, because also interchangeable but with a 3.5 millimeter already at the end, and this cable is only 1.3 meters long, so way more convenient if you maybe want to use it with smartphones or something similar like that. But it is what it is, and you could easily just buy it afterwards if you want to. About the headphones though now, as you can see them, I think they look quite minimal, quite clean, and definitely a nice design. Build is absolutely fine. It's mostly just plastic, but as you can see, very flexible and rugged plastic. Nothing really creaks or so I wouldn't worry about that. The cushioning here is very soft and very thick, really nicely done. On the ear cups, not quite as soft, but definitely will provide a very secure fit, which is important. As you can see, quite a thick cushioning as well, so your ears shouldn't touch, and it's definitely big enough, at least it was for my ears. But as you can also see here, there is a little piece sticking out, and that could maybe actually be a little bit of an issue, because if we put them on, and if you have them maybe slightly more forward towards the top and have bigger ears, it could touch. At first it did, and at first it did actually bother me a bit, but if I had them on for longer periods of time and maybe put them just slightly back, it wasn't really an issue anymore. What is really nice though, since the cushioning here is so thick, you don't really notice all that much of that, and it has a really amazing fit because it is super secure. You can move around with your head, and they also look very subtle in my opinion, not all that bulky or not that thick on the sides, which is definitely nice. But I have to say, there is a little bit maybe too much clamping force towards the side. With time this could maybe get a little bit more loose, and it's not a huge problem. If you maybe make them a little bit bigger, it will be loose, and then it's actually fine. So comfort is actually really there for hours and hours. But since this is an open head back phone, there is no noise isolation, so I hear my voice pretty much the same as I would without them. And of course the outside will hear you a lot more. That's just a habit of open back headphones, but I have to say they're very comfortable for hours and hours. Your ears don't get warm at all, and the comfort is there, so all is good here. But now the problem for me was the sound, because what I did not like so much, and I have to also say the sounding is completely different to the rest of them towards the 569, 579 and 599, because here the bass is extremely thick and heavy and bleeds quite extremely into the mids, and therefore even though we have quite clear highs and also quite dominant mids, the bass just was way too dominant and everything sounded very closed in, which is actually the opposite of what an open back headphone should have done. But the sound did not really convince me so much, because the bass on its own was not really punchy or detailed and not super deep. It was just super thick. And what this headphone is actually quite good for if you have more simplistic music. And what I mean by this is if you have not all that many instruments at the same time and a very dominant voice, because that was kind of, especially for ballads or something like that, really slow music, you heard all the instruments quite nicely. Everything sounded a little bit muffled, not all that open and clear. But especially voices sounded very dominant, up in your face, and very nice and very full and rich. So definitely it is a full and rich sound, but it's when I talk about heavy and thick bass, I don't talk about beat bass, because it's not boomy or something like that, but it's just thick, just way too much towards the boosted side, which is just odd to see since the rest didn't sound like that at all. The highs would be clear if the rest of the sounding wouldn't have been so dominant, so they kind of fall a little bit short. And overall I have to say I'm not quite that pleased with the sound here. If you maybe want to use it for simplistic music, it's okay, and the price, though I have to say on the version in the US, is just too close towards the already way better ones. So let's quickly cover the pros and cons here. Very comfortable, absolutely that it is. Secure fit, minimalistic design, absolutely. Interchangeable cable, which is quite cool, especially for this demo. I don't have a cable here. Nice and dominant vocals, so they sounded very full, very rich, especially male vocals sounded really nice. And then suited for simplistic music. But on the negative side, we have slightly high clamping force. Could get better over time. Sound balance feels off. Like I said, it was just, at first I actually thought they were broken because I almost heard no highs at all, which was just very weird, and I've never heard a headphone sounding like this. Bass, too heavy but not detailed, as I said. Bass bleeds heavily into the mids and it lacks clarity. As you can see, the problem is the bass, and the overall clarity just feels way too like you would have a curtain over your head. Just real weird. And then the recessed highs, not for audiophiles in my opinion, and that's where I actually already wanna end this review. I am not quite as pleased with this. Comfort and everything, build quality is fine. I like the interchangeability of the cable, but at the end it's the sounding that I did not like so much. And I can already tell you one thing, check the other reviews because those will be a lot more positive because I liked those just a lot more. I guess this would have been it. Maybe leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see the rest of the other reviews and the comparison. And if you have any questions or something like that, just leave them down below. Okay, that's it for now. Until next time, bye.